Oops. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel where I want to help you be as effective and better in video games. It's fun to always have a casual game where you can burn a couple of hours like Blox Fruit and Project Playtime, but what about games where we can test our skills? If this is your first time clicking a League video or you haven't played in a while, let me catch you up on a quick history lesson and what's new. Riot Games started back in 2006 and in that time started creating a MOBA or multiplayer online battle arena. And no, League was not the first, but it was one of, if not the most popular mobile game out there. Over the years, they were able to do world tournaments, which are equivalent to the Super Bowl, but not as big yet. We're still lacking behind in numbers of viewers, but over the years, the numbers will continue to grow. And we can get rid of sports. I mean, we can get rid of Madden. I don't know how players keep buying the same game with barely any new mechanics than the first, but I digress, because here I am playing a game that's been out for 17 years. The last thing to know is everyone knows this guy, Faker, but he's not important really, just everyone knows him. League of Legends has entered its 13th season, starting off with a brand new ranked system, new jungle items, and as well as a couple of reworks, including the very new Alarin Soul. Now, the objective of League is to work with 4 others to defeat the enemy nexus, with 4 different lanes to work in, which we have the farming top, the indecisive mid lane, the throwing bottom lane, and the game maker jungle. That toxicity is really rubbing off of me. In League, we have a couple of different game modes, but we're going to focus on ranked because that's where all the fun is, baby. And for our League players, I focused on solo duo ranked rather than flex because 1, I wanted to prove I could win without my friends, and 2, this is to show you that you can do the same thing. Having played this game in Season 3, I had to develop a feel for the game and to understand the roles of everyone. Top lane is usually a tanky bruiser who can take the front lines, but things have changed so much since Season 3 that my new motto for the game is, if you're confident in your abilities to take on any champion, go for it. Now, as much as I try to advocate players to do what they do best, sometimes that isn't good enough, but that's okay. It's not like I have a 90% win rate after doing this for 24 hours. Something I think that helped me play better was understanding my character's full power and limits, which means I stuck to only 2 champions throughout my playtime. But the one thing I could tell that made a player different from me was seeing if they could outplay their opponent. Lanes have it much easier to see their opponent since you'll be in those lanes for a majority of the game. I focused on jungle because that's where I am most comfortable, and I feel like I can better help my team. However, jungle is considered one of the hardest roles to take on in League, followed by mid, top, support, and ADC. I think support is higher than top, but that's besides the point. What is this skill that many players seem to lack from iron to plat? To know exactly what the other player will try to do. Ow. What? Oh, yomi. Oh wait, no. Yomi, which is the Japanese word reading, or better said as reading the mind of your opponent. Now, the bad thing about knowing this is it isn't something you can pick up and learn right away, but it relates to seeing patterns in visual or auditory information. In League, the best way to go about winning is seeing patterns. Now, how can you see patterns within human players? The best way is to try and study what your opponent is doing and think of how other opponents have played before. Even with this though, how can one acquire Yomi? The answer is, you can't. It's not something you can learn. It's not a tool that is easily acquired. It's something that you feel. Ask anyone who has made a play that seemed to go the best route for them, they'll most likely say that they knew the player would do that. But in reality, they felt it. A bit odd to think something such as my gut feeling knew we were going to lose a game because of a teammate. But it isn't just a gut feeling, it's yomi. As I mentioned before, yourself and 4 other players have to work as a team to win. There are some games where one person will carry the entire team to victory, but that will not always be the case. You have to be a good player for your team. And I don't mean win your lane 100% of the time, never mess up, and know exactly what to do. We're human. We have probably the highest mistake rate in all of history. What I do mean is do not drag your team down. I get that going on a losing streak can suck, or even losing a game after a long win streak, but it doesn't mean to shoot your shots at someone in-game because they're bad. There's no reason anyone should get called a slur, question mark pinged constantly, or be made fun of. If someone is playing badly, think of what the best option is to fix the issue. Whether that be to gank their lane, tell them to play more passively, or even swap lanes. No one knows what will happen based on their decision, but I do know dragging someone through game chat doesn't help. From my experience, I don't want to help that player, or care for the game at that point. Why should someone win for being rude and destructive to their teammate who didn't ask to be paired with them? I understand that the whole point of the game is to come with randoms and win together, but if you can't even consider being a team player the whole time, it's really hard to work with you. The best option if you're angry is to lose your emotions, or just never chat. Any player who can go into a game emotionless will have a higher win rate than those with emotion. To be 100% in the logical sense would be an ideal good player. But again, we're humans. Emotions follow us in-game, and people can still be as terrible as the ones out of game. This isn't a therapy session for people who have been rude to others before, but you should think of how to help others rather than attack them first. And the best way to help others is to show them. A good thing to know for people who are trying to be a good player is to know where to place wards to know enemy movement, or give advice about how to handle enemy champions, like never engage Irelia if she cleared 3 minions with her leap, because that 4th leap she does on you will give her max stacks for attack speed and bonus damage. Seriously though, every Irelia I've played against was always winning. It makes me wonder if she's too good, or are people who play her understand her really well. Now, as I mentioned, being a good player doesn't just mean being a good teammate. You do have to still understand the game, which means practicing your champion inside of whatever role that you're playing, whether that be top, mid, support, ADC, or even jungle. It's best to know what your champion can and cannot do. And also don't forget to ping that your enemy might be missing, so that way your other teammates don't get randomly ganked. And with that, I believe you're ready to take on the ranked world of League of Legends. Hopefully this will reach more players so we can take care of our gaming community. It'll take practice of learning your champion and enemy champions to increase your odds of winning, but with your time and energy, reaching gold in ranked won't take long. If you're shooting for higher ranks, there are more challenges that exist, such as knowing what other lane opponents will try to do, warding deep in the enemy areas, and knowing the right call and focus target in the game. I also hope Riot is able to bring back a bit of flavor from Season 3, because I honestly loved the rune page system. It allowed for unique builds for champions. Of course, some were more difficult to balance because of the rune pages, and the system itself didn't allow players to fully experience the game right away. But what am I supposed to do with all of my blue essence now? Or how about champions with more hybrid builds or supports that can go on the offensive with items? Most of this was lost up to current seasons, and for a player like me, it feels like the fun is gone for certain champions. I guess time to figure out another game where silly fun could be. What's that sound?